I've been listening to your channel for quite a while now. I never thought I'd write in, but something happened recently. My mother saw the house, and now that it's gone, I feel like if I don't say this out loud, it disappears with it. I'd rather you read it than nobody. We moved to the house on Calle Hermosa when I was 7. My parents said it was a fresh start. My father had found work in the province, and we needed something cheap and big enough for 3 kids. The house gave them both. It was old, maybe 1960s construction, with high ceilings, wooden floors that breathe in the heat, and 3 bedrooms arranged in a row along the back of the house like cars in a train. My parents took the first bedroom. My sisters, Cora and Mina, share the second. I was the only boy, so I got the third. I didn't want it. I couldn't explain why at first. The room wasn't ugly. It had a window that faced the back garden and a ceiling fan that worked fine. But from the first night, I'd wake around 2 or 3 in the morning with a specific feeling that something in the room had just moved. Not was moving. Had just. I'd miss it by a second. I told my mother. She said I was adjusting. She said, old houses make sounds. About a month in, I noticed the wall. The third bedroom sat at the end of the hallway, and its right wall was shared with nothing. At least nothing I could identify from outside. The house's exterior didn't suggest another room was there, but the wall was hollow. I discovered this the way children discovered everything by knocking on things. The rest of my bedroom walls gave a dull, solid thud. That one rang. I told my father. He pressed his palm against it, knocked twice, and said the sound was just the plaster. Old houses, he said, same as my mother. I started mapping the house from outside. I paced the garden wall, counted steps, matched them to the inside. The numbers didn't balance. By my count, and I did this many times, there were roughly 4 feet of house that I couldn't account for. A gap between my bedroom wall and the exterior. Not a structural gap, a space. My sister thought I was being weird. Cora told me to stop scaring Mina. I stopped talking about it, but I started listening instead. Some nights, well, not every night, maybe once a week, I would hear something through that wall. It wasn't dramatic, no screaming, no scratching like in story is. It was a subtle, and worse for being subtle, a slow, rhythmic sound like someone shifting their weight, like the specific restlessness of a person trying not to be heard. I want to be careful here, because I know how it sounds. I was 8, then 9. Children hear things. I had an overactive imagination. My teacher said so constantly. I know all of this. I've spent 20 years knowing all of this. But I also know the difference between the sound a house makes cooling at night and the sound of weight redistributing on a wooden floor. One night, I pressed my ear against the wall for a long time. The sound stopped. And then, I am certain of this, something pressed back. Not hard, not violent, a gentle pressure, the way you test a surface with your fingertip to see if it was dry. Here, thing, gone. I slept in my sister's room for 2 weeks after that. I told them I was having nightmares. They let me stay without too many questions, though. We lived in that house for 4 more years. I developed a kind of system. I kept music playing low at night. I didn't press my ear to the wall again. I got older, and I got better at not thinking about things I could not explain. Which is a skill, actually. One they don't tell you you're learning. The last year, my mother called to tell me she was finally selling the place. She asked if I wanted to come see it one last time before it went. I almost said no, but I went anyway. She'd already started packing. The house felt smaller in the way things from childhood always do, compressed by time to something more manageable. I walked the hallway. I stood in the doorway of the 3rd bedroom. The wall was there, the same hollow wall with its white paint and its old plaster. Someone had put a wardrobe in front of it. I moved the wardrobe. I don't know what I expect. More walls, I suppose. Confirmation that it was always just a wall. There was a door. Not a hidden door in the dramatic sense. No latch concealed in the molding, just a door, a regular interior door, painted over so many times that it had nearly blended into the wall. The hinges were on my side. I could see the seam of it now that I was looking. The wardrobe had been placed precisely in front of it, that approximately, not coincidentally, precisely. I called for my mother. She came, looked at it and said she had never known there was a door there. She seemed more curious than frightened. She said we should leave it for the new owners to deal with. She said it probably led to a small storage space, like a larder, something they walled off when they renovated. And she went back to her packing. I stood there for a while. The paint was thick on the door, but the gap at the bottom was dark. I crouched down and looked. I couldn't see anything, just darkness and a smell that was old and close and dry. I put my fingers under the gap, along the floor, feeling for the other side. The floor on the other side was smooth, worn smooth, like somewhere people walked. I stood up. I thought about opening it. I thought about all those nights and the sounds and the one time something pushed back. I thought about how I was a grown man, 31 years old, and this was just a room. I pushed the wardrobe back in front of the door. I kissed my mother goodbye. I drove home. I have not told anyone in my family. I don't know what was in there. I don't know if something was in there. What I know is that I had every opportunity to find out. I chose not to. I've been trying to decide since then if that makes me sensible or if it makes me a coward. I go back and forth on it. The house sold 3 weeks ago. Someone else lives there now. I hope they moved the wardrobe. Well, I hope they didn't.